Right, so let's test if we pass the coffee time. By show of hands, please show me who uses ChatGPT today. Excellent. Midjourney? Great. Stable Diffusion? All right. I'll come back to this in a minute. My name is Rafiee. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Gemini Motor. We are building a Class 8 truck, and we are Sara based in Los Angeles. Our goal is to bring acceleration to decarbonization in the heavy-duty industry. Speaking of heavy-duty, I want to bring your attention to some facts about combination trucks. There are only 1% of total vehicles in the US, but they are responsible for 20% of the emissions, and a striking 36% for particulate emissions. So the urgency is there to go and convert these trucks, and that's why California Aero Resource Board came out with a new ruling just last month that pushes the industry to go zero emission in a very short time. Starting next January, no additional capacity on drayage truck with diesel engine can go to the ports. So this is really important. It's coming, it's real. There's a series of mandates that CARB is pushing for the next decade. And by 2036, all drayage trucks operating in California will be zero emission. And the sunset is 2042. So imagine sitting in 2010 and being told that by 2023, all the drayage trucks are going to be zero emission. So you feel the urgency. And this has created a chaos in the trucking industry. And operators are looking for solutions, but they are limited with battery electric solutions. If you look at the space, if we solve the challenges with charging time, with range, with payload capacity, there is a bottleneck, and that's called infrastructure. You cannot put a 20 megawatt station in a port or in the middle of a city to charge 100 trucks or 200 trucks of a typical truck stop. That's like adding electricity for 10,000 homes. But what is the other option? Fuel cell vehicles. And the challenge with fuel cell vehicles, beside the infrastructure, is the vehicle itself. But we do believe that infrastructure, with all of the things that are happening in the hydrogen economy, is going to be viable. Hydrogen, unlike electrons, you can import molecules from overseas and put them in stations just like diesel. But the vehicles today, they are not powerful enough to replace diesel. And that's why we are designing a new vehicle or new powertrain based on two main technologies. One on the fuel cell itself, where we move away from the legacy low-temperature PEM fuel cells to a high-temperature fuel cell, removing all the complexities with water management. In addition to that, and a second tier of technology that we're working on is thermal management, where we innovate a design system on managing the cooling and this type of powertrains, which is actually a major challenge with current demo trucks that are available. So the fuel cell will be much smaller than the current fuel cells in the market, about 60% on weight and the size, and also will be 20% more efficient on the cell size or cell activity, bringing down the cost of the fuel cell by about 50%. We are not building this alone. We are partnering with the best in the world in design, engineering, and research to make it happen. I talked about Midjourney earlier. The initial design of this vehicle has been inspired by generative AI, and then we passed it to our vehicle designer to make the most aerodynamic design for a Class 8 vehicle, which is actually human-centric. We want to build a vehicle that actually can replace one-to-one diesel. A vehicle that can go 1,000 miles at minimum. It can be charged in 15 minutes. or less, and then can compete with TCO of diesel today. We are building 2 prototypes in the next 2 years, one with an existing fuel cell and our balance of plant, and then the next one is going to be with our design fuel cell and the new balance of plant. We are raising 10 million for the 2 prototypes, another 50 million for the next 10 prototypes, and then a larger round for the Alpha series. This is our team. Happy to talk about it offline. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. Now time for questions from our panel of experts.
Sure. Thanks for the presentation. Great presentation. Would like to understand a little bit more about where you guys play in the supply chain. So, fuel cells being one of it. Do you take any fuel cell risk within the fuel cell itself on a hydrogen scale? Critical minerals come into play, platinum, you have your anode, cathode components that go into it, and that's kind of how the Ballards of the world, like you had, differentiate themselves. I mean, from the composition risk perspective, where do you guys play, and how do you see that play into the supply chain?
Yeah, so we are not building the fuel cell or manufacturing the fuel cell. We are designing a fuel cell that fits into our vehicle. So the Ballards is actually one of our partners, another reason for me to come to Vancouver. Once the fuel cell is designed, then we pass it to manufacturers for the supply chain. And of course, the MEA is the most important piece of this new high-temperature fuel cell, which we are working with our partners to develop it in early stage and then put it in the manufacturing. But today there is commercial MEA available for high-temperature fuel cells. But it's not as stable as what we wish for the vehicle.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Nick here from TransLink. Yeah, thank you for a good presentation. I guess you're up against some massive competition with the traditional OEMs, the Volvos and all that, but I'm sure you're going to do better and beat them. But I'm going to ask something else. In your opinion, where do you have the regulatory authority, basically, that is most advanced or supportive to do tests, I guess, for example, for highway freight and all that? And then, like, is it Germany or US and where, and maybe Canada? I don't know.
Sure.
And would you consider yourself kind of looking globally for where you could test this and progress?
Yeah, so I think developments in China is moving fast, but in the US as well, California is really pushing this hard. Other states like Texas and Florida are also very positive to testing this type of technologies. But yeah, I'm really open to hear about what Canada is doing on this front and see if there's an opportunity for us here as well.
Thank you for the presentation. Can you talk a little bit about how you're thinking of overcoming kind of the lack of hydrogen distribution infrastructure at the moment, and how that plays into your thoughts about go-to-market strategy?
Sure, yeah, we are early in the kind of development phase, but we have a short-term contract, or a contract with short-term supply with a hydrogen producer. The development that we see on the hydrogen production side is pretty amazing. 600 projects have been announced on the hydrogen production in the past 2 years. We don't see hydrogen being a problem on production side. On the transport, though there are challenges, but it depends on the form of hydrogen that you take. If it's liquid or gaseous, there are solutions there that are coming. Hydrogen is not a new fluid. We have been using hydrogen for the past 50, 80 years. And it's just this time that we are thinking of scaling that into mass, and we just need to scale the infrastructure as well. I don't know if I answer your question, but...
Kind of. I noticed on your website you had talked a lot about autonomous.
Yes.
Is that still on the roadmap?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we really didn't want to go into powertrain. We wanted to build robotics and autonomous trucks. But we faced the wall when we talked to our partners about building the next generation of autonomous trucks with the powertrain. So we said, okay, let's solve the powertrain and then jump on the autonomy. That's how we got into powertrain, our expertise in system design and engineering. So it was a challenge to start with, but I think we are in a good shape today.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, coming up next, we have Quincy Lee, CEO of Electric Era.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing today? It's a pretty good conference so far. Show of hands. Who's having a fun time? I like it. Okay, good, good. I know it's a little sleepy in the afternoon, so we'll try to liven you up here. All right, let's get going. So we are Electric Era, and today we're going to be talking about the future of car refill for the next generation of drivers. My name is Quincy Lee. I'm the CEO and founder of Electric Era. Prior to founding Electric Era, I was at SpaceX for 7 years as a mechanical engineer, working on a variety of different projects from the Falcon 9 to the Dragon spacecraft. And then in my final role was on the Starlink satellite constellation program, where I oversaw the global rollout of the Gateway ground station antenna program for SpaceX Starlink. So in that role, I kind of took the team from prototype to deployment on 3 continents prior to departing to found Electric Era. Joining me in this journey is the world-class leadership team that you can see on the screen in front of you. Super proud of the team that we've hired. We've truly brought together an unparalleled team that brings extreme intensity and expertise in everything from sales to product to technology. So these are the people that really make this happen. We've ultimately assembled this truly world-class team to solve the fundamental challenges in public EV fast charging, which really to take advantage of the immense opportunities emerging in this space. These opportunities are being driven by urban on-the-go EV adopters that are ultimately expanding EV refill from its traditional location at the home to public locations. I personally see this every day as a Tesla driver that lives in a city. I go to Tesla supercharging stations, and there's lines. That's a common experience if you're a Tesla driver, and that's a good thing. That means there's a lot of EVs on the road, right? That extra utilization is now being pushed to second-tier networks like companies like Electrify America, who actually very notably reported a 10x growth rate in their sessions per day at their public fast charging stations since 2020, a 10x growth rate. Think about that. That's an incredibly important graph. I encourage everyone in the room to really consider the implications of that from a EV adoption perspective. This is exactly what we're all doing our jobs for. Now, while these new charging behaviors are very good for our business, it is incredibly upsetting for legacy car refill, our customers. To put some numbers on this, because I'm a numbers guy, I like numbers, there's 116,000 refill convenience stores in the United States that are facing extinction as a result of the shift to electric forms of transportation. Those are mom and pops, those are enterprises, those are SMBs, these are businesses that face extinction. Those businesses are in market right now looking for solutions to modernize their properties for the 21st century. They're looking for EV fast charging solutions because they need to effectuate utilization at their refill centers and their convenience stores. Servicing that customer, it's tough. It's tough for 2 primary reasons. One is that EV fast charging consumes a lot of power, and the grid doesn't have much of it. The grid has fundamental limits that I'm sure many of us in the room are aware of that make it challenging to install the necessary infrastructure for public fast charging stations in a timely and economical fashion. The second big reason is that historically, EV fast charging companies have leveraged outsourced software design strategies, leading to a very fragmented product ecosystem, which ultimately results in incredibly unreliable charging experiences. I'm sure you've all experienced that in your personal life if you're an EV driver. These 2 things in combination lead to very expensive and very unreliable and very unenjoyable EV fast charging sessions historically. We're solving that with PowerNode. PowerNode is our battery-backed and software-optimized EV fast charging station that provides high performance and reliable EV fast charging anywhere on the grid. With PowerNode, we've built the future of car refill for the next generation of drivers by providing our customers with a premium fast charging station solution that they can install at their very grid-limited car refill locations. We algorithmically optimize PowerNode for three things: cost, speed, and reliability with our software stack. We deliver PowerNode to market with our certified hardware and installation partners. And once installed, our customers subscribe to a variety of software services that we provide through our app store that add to their revenue, their performance, and the reliability of their charging station and actually their retail outlet. The brain of PowerNode is PowerNode OS. This is our extensible operating system that we've developed from the ground up, fully vertically integrated, fully designed, fully engineered in-house by electric area engineers, by former SpaceX engineers, all around the retail EV fast charging use case. With PowerNode OS, we provide a full complement solution for our customers, covering them on all operational oversight, providing them grid access anywhere, providing them with real-time station monitoring, providing them with the highest level of charging reliability in the market, and of course, providing them with access to a scalable app store of software services such as our Store Power Backup app that keeps them online when the grid goes down, such as our Grid Services Monetization app, and our Pump to Store Conversion app, which you can actually see in the right-hand side of your screen. This is an actual demo. Notably, PowerNode OS provides the central feature for PowerNode, which is our ability to install anywhere on the grid. This is enabled through our patent-pending above-the-grid charging limit technology. We dual monetize PowerNode, making money both off the hardware and the support software services. This juices up our margins and our total lifetime value quite handsomely. We do all that while also delivering the best in terms of customer value, giving customers the leading charging reliability solution on the market, providing them with a future-proofed fast charging investment that gives them 60% more charging sessions per day than our nearest competitor, FreeWire. That's free cash flow that our customers are able to access that our competitors cannot deliver. And of course, amalgamating all that in a leading outcome for customer financials, giving them a nearly 3 times better 10-year internal rate of return on their investment compared to our nearest competitor on a fully levelized and equivalent basis. Of course, with PowerNode, we install the fast charging station much more rapidly, and in certain cases enable a 10x reduction in time to market than the traditional approach of upgrading the grid. Due to the outstanding team that we've assembled and the highly leveraged product that we've created with PowerNode, we've created a very rapid growth rate at our business. Since founding in 2020, we've closed multiple venture-backed investment rounds. We've secured millions of dollars of venture capital investment. We've fully proven out the margins profile, the supply chain, the performance, and the reliability of PowerNode. And today we're excited to announce that we've signed 8 customers to 19 deployments in 9 states across America, which propels us rapidly towards our end-of-decade goal of having 10,000 PowerNodes installed across America by 2030. This will create the necessary backbone for EV fast charging infrastructure that we all need to, faithfully get into an EV, and in the process actually creates one of the world's largest autonomous distributed energy resources. This is an incredibly exciting project, and thank you for your time today. Feel free to come up and talk. Would love to speak with you all about your project needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Time for our panel of experts. Who wants to go first?
I can start. Okay, so I'm a convenience store owner with the parking lot, and so I'm actually buying the charger upfront. Do you assist at all with the financing or break a deal with kind of getting me a loan or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So most of our customers are in the mid-market. They're larger SMBs that have CapEx to fund the deployment. We have actually already lined up a third-party finance provider that does provide third-party ownership for smaller SMBs that do need financing. And we've signed a large deal with them, and we're in the process of implementation with that third-party financer.
Okay, yeah, that can be helpful. Just a follow-up. I'm not aware of the US tax benefits and all that, and they're changing, but basically, are you relying a bit on that the US tax benefits are going to stay on for a while, or how sensitive are you to those benefits disappearing?
Yeah, great question. The answer is no. We are obsessed with engineering incredibly affordable and commercially viable products without government subsidies. The subsidies certainly help. The storage investment tax credit specifically is very attractive for our customers, but we are not reliant on it.
Great presentation, thank you for that. From a go-to-market and kind of end-market strategy, are you guys looking to essentially build this is one strategy, build chargers, call it at cost, and infrastructure at cost, and then run a subscription model? So what's the end goal and the ultimate long-run play here?
Yeah, so we enable our customers to provide a premium EV fast charging retail experience at their stores. So we white label our products and we sell the solution, and then we operate the station for the customer. So we make both margin and free cash flow on the initial purchase and recurringly from the software services that we sell to our customers that enable additional revenue, performance, and reliability. The end game is ubiquitous, affordable, and reliable EV fast charging infrastructure. That's truly our mission statement, and that's what we'll go set out to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about your approach to installation, maintenance, and services, like the physical aspect of it, not just the software, and what the plan is there, and what you're beginning to see from a cost standpoint?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we've obtained a high degree of operational leverage as a business. We actually partner with third-party EPC companies, construction companies, if you're not familiar with the acronym. So they actually do the permitting, they do the installation, they do the wiring, they do the conduiting, the trenching, all that fun stuff. We work very closely with them every single day, and the AHJs and utilities that sign off and ultimately permit our site. So we have a fair degree of experience in that implementation phase at this point. Regarding supply chain, we have literally fully proven out the supply chain and have assets on boats in the middle of the ocean, in our factory, and on the way to customer sites. So the hardware part of this is no stranger to our team, and we've fully de-risked that part of the business at this point.
And then maintenance. I think you talked about install.
Yeah, it's a great question. We work with a third-party maintenance company. They provide smart hands in the field, trained technicians that can repair our assets if there's issues, but we do a very high degree of software oversight and have basically a smart pulse on every single charging station at all times.
So like predictive maintenance?
That's correct, yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, coming up next we have, there we go, round of applause. Last pitch of the day, that's so sad for me. Aridah, CTO of Voltsafe, is with us here today.
Good afternoon. My name is Aridah, CTO and co-founder of Voltsafe Inc. I'll be telling you today how we're using our technology to help marinas save thousands of dollars every month on their utility bills and potentially millions of dollars in insurance claims when something eventually goes wrong with the dock. So if we look at the problem right now, we've been plugging things into high power the same way for the past 140 years. It's always a pronged interface, one prong portion, one recessed, always live metal on the other end. And you align the pins, you push the connectors in, you deliver power. The biggest problem at the docks is that the ocean is extremely salty, and that harsh environment causes corrosion on the contacts inside of the plug itself. So when that corrosion occurs, the resistance goes up, the heat starts to generate. On the minor side, you get a connector meltdown if you're lucky enough to catch it in time. And on the drastic end, you could have a boat fire. Some of you may have seen the news earlier in February. The Granville Island Marina had a massive fire that took down 3 boats, including their dock, at 2:30 in the morning when nobody was there. And that is something that we believe could be completely avoidable. The way we solve it using our technology is we bring those contacts to the face. And those contacts are always off and safe to the touch. It's not wireless power. There's no losses. We're still doing good old metal-to-metal connection. But it's always off, and it waits until the 2 sides are connected. We get a secure connection on hot, neutral, and earth before power is allowed to flow through. So the technology itself allows high-power connections to be safe, simple, and smart. On the safety end, it solves a lot of the problems that I mentioned earlier. Our technology is safety certified to UL and CSA standards, which was a massive milestone for us. It also allows us to make these connectors fully IP68 rated. So if you accidentally drop it in the water, you're not going to have to worry about any ingress. You can simply fish the connector out, dry it, and you're ready to use it again. It's very simple in that you don't have to align the pins, you don't have to twist them to lock them into place, so it's very easy to use for people that have mobility problems, if they have physical disabilities, or for an aging population such as the one that we have here in Canada. It's got LED indicators, because who doesn't love a good RGB indicator? It's also smart, so you can remotely control it with a dashboard. If you're a marina operator, you can see the status of all of your shore power hookups. You can check the measurement on each one and invoice and do the billing accordingly, instead of using the analog methods that require manual readings. If you remember our homes in the 90s, before smart meters were implemented by BC Hydro. Our technology is also scalable, so right now we're starting with the recreational boating space, single phase, 120 volts, 30 amps. We have plans to scale that to 2-phase, 3-phase, that's the roadmap for marine. It also goes, the technology itself translates into charging electric boats up to level 2, with potential for level 3 when we partner with an EV charger company, because we don't develop the charger itself in-house. The size of the market is gigantic. If you imagine any place that there is a high-power hookup, we can create an iteration of the technology for that application. Some exciting potential applications for us include autonomous electric vehicles. Those could be light guided vehicles or heavy-duty trucks, aviation, and of course, residential. And our IP moat is deep. We've got 8 utility patents granted around the world, including the US. We have our trademarks filed and received in the US and Canada, and we continue to expand on that in-house. We do all the development of firmware, hardware, software, all in our office here in Vancouver. Some key milestones, as I mentioned earlier, we went on Dragon's Den. We received a safety certification. Our first product to market sold out. That was for engine block heaters. And earlier this year, we received 2 CES Innovation Awards for our home plug and our marine connector, and the CTA Mark of Excellence. For the roadmap, we're currently working on commercializing 2 products, the successor of the first product and the marine system that I just went over. We also received a government contract of $550,000 to develop a connector system for testing on their vehicles, which we'll be working towards until March next year. The ask, we're currently actively raising. We're seeking partnerships and licensing deals, and we are looking for connections in the marine world to participate in our pilot program for the marine system. If you'd like a copy of this information, feel free to scan this QR code, and you'll be able to download it on your phones. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, Sara?
Great presentation and interesting technology. Well, it seems like there's 2 sides of the plug, so 2 sides of the market for you. Can you talk about what your business development strategy is? And are you talking to OEMs, and then on the flip side, chargers / electricity providers, et cetera?
Amazing question. And the reason why I don't go over that early on is because it turns into a rabbit hole, but I'm glad you asked that. All of the systems that we develop today are meant to be retrofit. They work with existing equipment, with existing standards. You don't have to even hire an electrician to do that job, at least on the residential side. And as the technology gets more widely adopted, we'd be able to gain access to the OEMs. All the smarts and the sensing technology itself exists on the active side of the outlet that controls the flow of electricity. The other side that adapts to, say, a toaster at home or a TV, that part is extremely cheap to make, and it would be easily adopted by the OEMs once we've hit higher scale for that specific application. The other thing I mentioned, I kind of just breezed over it, is that licensing is a huge part of our business model. So we are partnering up with large incumbents. We're currently in discussion with a dozen of them, and 3 of them are close to signing a binding licensing agreement to utilize our technology to disrupt their own product lines with, and trying to eliminate the prongs from the interface.
Great presentation. I have 2 questions. One is, on the product side, from a conversion perspective, how does it compare to a regular plug? Because it looks like the technology is a little bit different. Does it convert the same % of current as a regular plug into the boat, or is it slower? And then the second question is, what's the customer acquisition strategy? So similar to what Sara was alluding to, but what's your strategy in inquiring which customers are you targeting?
Sure. The first part of your question, the system itself does not interfere with the voltage or the current. We are simply a gate. We decide when to open the gate when the 2 sides are mated, and we close the gate when it's not supposed to deliver power through. But whatever you give us behind the active circuit gets passed on to the load. So if you give us 2-phase 240 volts at 50 amps, that's what we'll be able to pass through fully. It has no effects on the efficiency. It still works exactly as a normal plug does, with the added benefit that you can expose the metal instead of hiding it inside. So I hope that clarifies that a bit. And then the customer acquisition strategy, that will vary by the vertical. So out of all the applications that I mentioned, we're putting our focus into the marine right now because it's low-hanging fruit. It's a great application that emphasizes the safety component. And there's also a real need for power management at the docks. A lot of them in Vancouver, when we've done site surveys with the team, they're redlining. They're hitting that edge of what they're able to deliver. Sometimes they even do rolling blackouts and cut off certain breakers to branches because they're always redlining and they can't switch these things off automatically. So we can do all of that management remotely for them. And this is a B2B play for the marine connector. So a typical marina has 300 slips. The larger ones in the US go up to 1,500, maybe up to 3,000 slips. So that would be 3,000 units in a single marina for every one customer we onboard. Plus the 80% of the marina market is owned by 3 large, extremely large companies. So the onboarding process for them is a lot less complicated, let's say, from a B2C type play.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Good presentation. Based on that, you answered a lot of my questions already on patents and all. I guess I would like to see a bit more data on what do you think the ultimate cost per unit would be, but I guess you don't know yet until you scale up. But what, besides that, when you move outside marine applications where I really can see benefit residential, any data on how much safety problems we have now, our fires, including maybe, you talked about power surges and all that. I can see that's beneficial, but do we have a big problem outside marine? And
absolutely.
Yeah.
67% of home fires start because of an electrical fault. The NEC has all the data. It's well recorded. There's about 30,000 reported shock events that happen with using the traditional plug, and those are the reported ones. Like, it really hurts your ego when you get shocked. I mean, my dad gets lit up like a Christmas tree every season. It's kind of part of the holiday tradition. But you know, a lot of people are lucky enough to get away with it. So the reported numbers are already huge, and the other big aspect to this is actually accessibility. There's 35 million people that have moderate to severe physical disabilities right now. And we have an aging population. The number of people over 65 is increasing. And if you have arthritis, or if you recently had a surgery, or if you're in a wheelchair, or if you're pregnant, bending over 18 inches off the ground to plug in a tamper-resistant outlet from 2008 is not the easiest of tasks. Whereas with our technology, you'd be able to just dangle the cord and let the magnet do the work for you. So it's the convenience aspect and the accessibility portion really come into play here with that target demo.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Time's up.
Appreciate it.
Good job.